Hey, this is Ryan of Happy Healthy Vegan. So I want to give a big shout out to our viewers and our moderator Peter, who let me know about this Joe Rogan episode that I needed to check out. Of course, Joe Rogan once again, right? Anyway, his guest this time was music producer Rick Rubin. You might have heard of him if you're a Red Hot Chili Peppers fan. He's produced pretty much all their albums, made billions of dollars off of that. Anyway, he was on Joe's show. I talk about many things, but they got on to how he's been obese or overweight most of his life, and he talked about a period in his life where he was vegan for a little over 20 years. We'll get to his story, and he was huge. And later on, after he quit being vegan, as the shocking, sensationalistic thumbnail on the Joe Rogan channel shows here, that Rick Rubin lost 130 pounds after he quit a vegan diet. So we'll take a look at this, and I want to emphasize veganism is not a diet. It's an ethical stance against animal cruelty. But yeah, you can gain weight as a vegan. There's nothing like stopping you. I mean, it's, it depends on what you eat, how much you exercise, calories, all that. So let's see what he said, see if there's anything that really, truly about veganism caused him to get overweight and get sick and unhealthy like he's saying. Let's jump right in.
I basically laid on a couch listening to music my whole life. That was my job, and what I did not for my job. It's what I like to do, and that's all I did.
As a fellow but way less successful financially music producer than Rick Rubin, yeah, I can relate, wanting to sit around and listen to music laying on the couch all day. However, I want to point out that if this is his own admission here, he's showing that he really didn't do much. He just thought he could lay around on the couch and maybe eat whatever he wants. But anyway, let's continue on.
And then and I was vegan for 22 years and got very big. I weighed 320 pounds, 318 at my max with no exercise. So it's only just not good. Huge.
All right, so my suspicions were confirmed here that he wasn't really doing any exercise. He said no exercise, just laying on the couch all day, listening to music, producing music. So I'm not sure already off the start here how much we can say veganism had to do with that. It sounds like if he was eating anything and literally like laying on the couch all day, every day for 20 years, he might have similar weight results. What do you guys think?
The vegan thing really took me down a dark path.
Well, that's a new one. A dark path? Like, really? I've been vegan now 12 years. I haven't found this dark path yet. Let's see what this dark path was for him.
How so?
Well, I was eating chicken and vegetables, and I was healthier then.
Healthier? But like how? Like, how so? How is he defining healthy here? Unfortunately, he doesn't tell us, and now he tells us how he transitioned to veganism.
And then a friend of mine gave me a book called Diet for a New America, and he said, if you read this book, you're not going to want to eat chicken anymore.
And what about veganism got you that big?
It's a carb-only diet. It's just carbs.
All right, so much wrong and bad to unpack here, and it just sounds like Rick Rubin, yeah, he might be a great music producer, but just completely just misinformed, like totally. And even Joe Rogan, as you'll see here in a second, seems kind of like, what are you talking about, bro? Like, what were you eating? Like, okay, there's only carbs and plants. No, that's just not evidence-based in any way, shape, or form. All three macronutrients are found in plants. In fact, as we'll see, we can get tons of fats and proteins from plants. And this whole thing about there's only carbs perpetuates this non-evidence-based myth that carbs make you fat. They don't. I mean, I probably eat way more percentage of carbs than like 95% of the human population. And look at me, quite, fit, body mass index here. So anyway, let's see how Joe reacts.
But were you eating vegetables or were you eating pizza? Like what were you?
Vegetables, pizza, whatever they serve in the vegetarian restaurant.
All right, so I'm confused now. So Rick Rubin's saying that he eats out at restaurants, vegetarian restaurants, pretty much exclusively, and never makes food at home. I mean, I guess he can afford that, being super wealthy. But it's well known that if you want to eat the healthiest food, if that's truly your goal, not all vegan food is created equally healthy. But if you want to eat the healthiest that you can, you're typically not going to find that at restaurants. Usually that's where I eat the worst. The best healthiest eating I have is here in the home.
It would serve it'd be like a tofu steak with a gluten brown sauce. Super unhealthy stuff, but I didn't know.
I mean, now this has become humorous as to how bad this information is. Like, I'm not sure what this gluten brown sauce is, but there's nothing inherently unhealthy about gluten-containing foods unless you are gluten sensitive, celiac disease, stuff like that. Hey, I'm not a nutritionist or doctor. Talk to your health professional if you have any of these situations. But he's talking about tofu being really unhealthy because it's so high in carbs. I mean, this is ridiculous. I mean, anyone who knows anything about plant sources of protein knows that tofu is a fantastic one. And if we look at its macronutrient breakdown here, you'll see that it's highest in protein. About 45% of the calories come from protein, 39% of the calories come from fat, and a mere 15% come from carbs. So much for his claim there earlier saying that it's all carbs. No, it's the lowest in carbs compared to the other two macronutrients. I mean, what is he even talking about?
I thought I was eating healthy.
Right.
It was just bad information.
All right, so a lot to unpack there in that quick little statement. First of all, he's assuming all food that is vegan is healthy. And where did he get this idea? Like I've said it many times, you can construct very healthy vegan diets. You can construct some moderately healthy vegan diets. You can construct some crap, just really health-wrecking vegan diets. The choice is yours. But let's look at what he said here, what he's eating here. This tofu with some brown sauce, assuming, he's not gluten intolerant or something like that. Please, someone tell me down in the comments, how is this unhealthy? How is this going to wreck your health, or in his case, make him obese? Either way, I want to hear how eating tofu with some brown sauce is just horrible for one's health, because I think you're full of it.
And so what shifted? What did you do to shift it?
I read a book by a guy named Stu Middleman who ran 1,000 miles in 11 days. And I remember thinking, how can it be? How can we both be human beings? And if I walk to the end of the block, I'm exhausted and out of breath.
I mean, this is completely ridiculous. How can someone who said he's just been basically laying on a couch, not taking care of himself for decades, not training, not physically fit, feel like, wow, how can another human run a marathon or do an Ironman triathlon or be a professional dancer, a professional football player, or what have you? You know, it's like, it's because their lifestyle is completely different. Like,
and there's a human on the planet who can run 1,000 miles in 11 days. I don't have good information.
Well, it's more than just not having good information. You just haven't been pursuing an athletic lifestyle. You just haven't been pursuing or prioritizing physical fitness. I don't know why you would assume that just eating a vegan diet, just eating plants and doing nothing, you feel like you missed out on life because there's someone who's been training hard for years, if not decades, that could run 1,000 miles in 10 days or whatever. I mean...
I'm doing something wrong.
Yes, you haven't been physically active. You haven't been training. You haven't been exercising. It has nothing to do with eating tofu.
Because it's not like I was lazy. I was diligent. I just had bad information.
I mean, you just said you were laying on the couch for decades, listening to music, not exercising. I mean, isn't that kind of the textbook definition of being lazy? How is that somehow bad information? Or you're attributing to eating plants as bad information as to why you can't run a marathon or a 5K or anything? No, it has to do with being lazy. You got to get off the couch. It has nothing to do with eating plants. I mean,
I read the Stu Middleman book, and he talks about meeting this performance expert, Phil Maffetone, who changed the way he trained, and that's why he could run 1,000 miles in 11 days. So it's like, okay, Phil Maffetone is the answer.
I'm just seeing a recurring pattern of just not good decisions coming from Rick Rubin. So we found out about an athlete that could do this incredible feat running, and he learned that the trainer was Phil Maffetone, who I'm well aware of as a runner. Phil has some good ideas about how to run at a lower speed, lower heart rate, tap in your body's fat as an energy rather than burning carbs like when you're sprinting. Good stuff. But unfortunately, Maffetone thinks since we're burning fat as our preferred fuel for exercise, we should be eating tons of animal fats too. And that's who Rick Rubin hooked up with here. I mean, I don't understand why he had to say, oh, there's this one person who can run 1,000 miles in 10 days. I must learn from them. I mean, he could have found a vegan athlete that has done incredible things, like say Rich Roll, who in his 40s did 5 Ironman triathlons on 5 Hawaiian islands consecutively as a vegan, eating tofu and whatever. It wasn't the bad advice of eating tofu and plants that was messing up Rick Rubin. It was his decision to not be athletic his entire life and finally wake up later on in life and wonder, wow, how come I get tired walking down to the mailbox and other people can do all these incredible things? It has nothing to do with your diet, bro. If so, yeah, why is Rich Roll, able to do 5 Ironmans in 5 days? I like to see most people try that. Even me, little old me here at age 55, slam dunking. Yeah, I didn't do that just from sitting on the couch. It took a lot of training for over several years.
I emailed Phil Maffetone. I want to become your patient. And he started treating me. He very much wanted me to eat animal protein, which I wouldn't do because I was a vegan. He got me to eat fish and eggs, and he ended up living with me for 2 years, Phil. He was with me all the time. He trained me. He got me to do, heart rate-based cardio, and I got much healthier working with Phil, and I didn't lose any weight. I might have lost 5 pounds over 2 years. And he's living with me, and he said, I watch everything you eat. I watch how you train. He said 999 people out of 1,000 who are doing what you're doing, all their weight would fall off. For some reason, yours is not coming off. Couldn't figure it out.
So this story alone 100% debunks and disproves the title of Joe's video. I mean, the title makes it sound like, oh yeah, poor Rick Rubin, he was vegan all these years and quits being vegan and loses 130 pounds. No, he spent 2 years eating fish and eggs and training in home with Phil Maffetone, who was monitoring everything, all the training, all the food, and lost a mere maybe 5 pounds. So, how come we're not blaming animal protein diet for Rick Rubin's overweight body and all that? It's the vegan diet. Yeah, it's the vegan diet that's undoubtedly the evil culprit here, huh? Yeah, I think I understand the logic. Not.
And then I was thinking, well, my mom was obese. It's just a genetic thing. I've always been overweight.
I know that's not Rick's intent here, but he is showing a family history of obesity and a history of himself being overweight. So I'm saying these are some factors to consider rather than saying, hey, it was just eating tofu that made him gain 130 pounds. So next, Rick talks about a nutritionist that a buddy sent him to, and this one nutritionist finally helped Rick to lose weight after all these years.
And he puts me on 7 protein shakes a day, like egg white protein, 7 a day, and then fish, soup, salad for dinner, like super low calorie, high protein, no carb diet. And in 14 months, I lost 130 pounds.
Whoa. Why didn't you go back to chicken and vegetables if that worked?
Because I believe veganism was good. It's like I was brainwashed.
I mean, what about veganism is not good? Like, how is this brainwashing? Like, let's look at the definition of veganism here. Long-term viewers, have a drink right now. Anyway, it says nothing here about veganism making you lose weight or even that it is healthy. Like I said, you can construct, if you want to, a very unhealthy vegan way of eating. So you weren't brainwashed about anything. You're just misinformed about what veganism is. It's again, look at the definition. It's all about taking a stance against animal cruelty and exploitation. Is that brainwashing to believe it's wrong to needlessly harm animals? I say not.
So did you believe it was good for the planet, or did you believe
Both.
it was good?
The healthiest diet in the world.
Again, where in this definition does it say that veganism is the healthiest diet in the world? Can you find me some scientific studies if you're so inclined to go down the road of evidence-based information that says that vegan diets are the healthiest in the world? We know from science, though, that vegan diets are healthy. Again, this is just not my opinion. I'm just a YouTuber music producer, kind of like Rick, If I want to back up what I'm saying here, let me show you the positions of people who know far more about this. PhDs, doctors, nutritionists who are professionals in this field, like say the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics or various health organizations from around the world who are consistent in their positions that appropriately planned vegan and vegetarian diets are nutritionally adequate and appropriate for all people in all phases of life. And what really disturbs me the most about what Rick Rubin's doing here on Joe's podcast is just throwing veganism under the bus. You know, instead of saying, hey, I tried it for a few decades, I was obese, and I tried this fish and eggs thing and a lot of running, and I still couldn't lose any weight or 5 pounds. And finally, I tried this protein shake calorie restriction diet, and I lost some weight. But he's making it sound like veganism is this horrible thing. It made him big. No, he's already big before. He wasn't exercising. He blamed veganism for the fact he couldn't run a marathon or whatever. I mean, this is just ridiculous stuff. I mean, take some responsibility for laying on the couch all those years. I mean, don't say you weren't informed properly. I mean, who told you to eat just plants at Real Food Daily and lay on the couch every day? And lo and behold, all your blood tests are going to be fine. You'll have a high degree of physical fitness. And also what's bugging me is just this misinformation about, like, it's all carbs, you know, despite he's claiming he's eating tofu all the time, which is like, you know, lowest in carbs compared to protein and fats as far as macronutrients go. So, I mean, this is just, again, just another person who quit veganism and just saying all this nonsense. Just take responsibility. Say, hey, it didn't work for me. Say, it was cool, it didn't work for me, but you don't have to just make up all this nonsense about how you're eating only carbs and you couldn't run far because of eating tofu. I mean, this is just completely ridiculous. So anyway, guys, hit like, share this video, and also I want to make it clear, I don't have anything against Rick Rubin. I'm not a fan, not a hater, but I just don't like what he's saying here, because as any anti-vegan, when they go out and say nonsense like this, I'm going to respond. So let me know down below if you like my response, and if there's anything else you want to add about his story that just doesn't make any sense. So until next time, guys, remember, it doesn't suck being vegan.